Hello and welcome to a special video. I'm Sparring DK and today we're going to discuss the new features on FIFA 21 career mode. We'll give you some tips and tricks along the way, so stick around for a pretty informative video. Now this has been brought to you by the EA Game Changers program, and I do need to let you know that it is an early build of the game. We've got an opportunity to record some footage here, but everything that you see here may not be its final installment. There could still be changes before the final release. But let's jump into this video. We're going to, get into this. It's going to be in depth. So if you want some tips, some tricks, and see the new features, we're going to get into that video right now. So you've got the same screen here, player career, manager career. Of course, we're doing a manager career. Same screen as normal, where we will be picking a manager. Right, not too many differences here with the creator screen. You've still got all of the, natural face changes that you can normally make. The one thing I have noticed along the way is that there is a new option within here, just the one that I found, and it is in the hairstyle and beard factor. So let's just jump across to that. We'll leave the cap on him. But yeah, there's a new beard here that you can utilize. So finally, we've got something with a decent beard. And outfit-wise, pretty much all the stock standard. So there we go. There is our manager. As for the team we're going to choose, I'm going to go to the championship here. And we'll just go with Bournemouth, who were relegated, but they should be okay. Right, and then we jump into the new setup here. So match difficulty, obviously we've got legendary. We can go up to ultimate. Obviously ultimate is where they will jack the players up to 99 rated. So we'll stick with legendary. We'll discuss something with that shortly. Okay, you've got two options here. Now, the player catalog is now gone. Negotiation strictness between loose and strict. Now, my suggestion while you're getting accustomed to things maybe in the first career mode that you do, I would leave it on loose, and I probably wouldn't utilize this financial takeover. You can go up to £500 million, but from my experience thus far, it can give you some pretty hefty expectations from the board. So just in the first one, while you're mapping everything out and understanding what the changes are within the game, maybe just stick away from that one for now. You can change your stadium if you don't have an official one. Obviously, Bournemouth do. And of course, we advance. Right, so straight away, as we enter the career mode, we are usually greeted with a pre-season tournament. Just a chance to make up some extra coin if you do need it for your career. So we'll go with the European International Cup and accept that invitation. And then we are brought to the usual screen that you wouldn't see. Not too many changes here, to be fair, but a few things that we do need to cover. The standard 5 bars across the top. Everything sort of sitting in its relatively usual spots, so that is all good to see. AFC Bournemouth excited about the future under DK. We'll see about that. Straight away into the emails. Now, we've got some things here to have a quick look at. European International Cup and transfer market. Now, we have a youth academy. Straight off the bat, you have a youth academy set up. So the assistant manager has let you know that you do have a youth academy. We'll go straight away and have a look at that. So we've been generated 4 players here, and this looks a little bit different. So we've got a centre-back here from Australia, Liam Richardson, 57 to 79 potential. Ismail Navarrete from Chile, 66 to 90 potential. Manuel Cuesta at 61 to 83, and Reece Moore at 68 to 92. Now, for me, as a youth academy sort of connoisseur, I would look at these potentials and go, not worth me paying the money. And Cuesta can go as well. Obviously, if you're in a lower league, those teams might, those players might be able to, utilize their services. But for now, we've got 2 players left here in this academy, and we'll monitor their progress through this video. Next, we have the vision and expectations. So let's have a look at the objectives here. Nothing really too drastically changed here. Sign a young player. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. They want us to win the league title in the championship, as you'd expect for Bournemouth, and keep the player salary growth under 20%. Pretty much your standard stuff, so let's move on. Still have your Global Transfer Network scouts, so they're out looking for players. And instruction-wise, here's your first tip. First thing I would do would be remove everything that they have set up, because they think they know what you want in the team. The first thing I would do would be go to your squad, see what you actually need, and come back in and fix up these instructions. Right, so let's continue to look around here on the first menu. Obviously, training used to be here, but now it is called development. We'll get into that one shortly because that is a new addition. And you can see here that the first day is a training day. We'll come back to that shortly. If we take a look at the squad, it's pretty much the standard stuff here. Your team sheets and everything you're looking at. The first thing I would probably do would be look at that formation. And well, with the new sharpness and morale systems, you can see there that Lerma is not happy with the current positioning sitting there at centre midfield. He gets a -4 down on his rating, so he will be playing at a 75 when you start the game up. So you want to manipulate the team to getting players in the positions that they actually want to play. That will keep them happy and they will perform better on the pitch. So let's have a look at what we can do here. You could do your custom formations if that's your way, or you've got another option. If you back out and you come out to team sheets, you may have a different team that you prefer. These instructions will already be set up. It's a little bit of a shortcut, a little bit of a trick. So you could look through some of the other clubs. Let's go somewhere, say in Spain, and we'll have a look at, looking for something that has a central defensive midfielder, hopefully, just to help out Lerma's positioning. So we could go with the Barcelona. Sure, let's go with the Barcelona formation. We'll bring that in. We'll select that, and we'll have that as a secondary option. Now, what we need to do then is back out, and then set it as active. Yes, reset the players, and go back in. Right, so that's put King up front. We probably want Wilson out there because he is a striker. It's a little bit jittery on the menu at the moment, but that should rectify itself. But you can see now Lerma has gone to a central defensive midfield. He now no longer has that -4 spark. We've got Brooks out here on the right, but he has a left foot. We need a left midfielder. No, we've got one here on the bench. Let's get him up and into the starting lineup. What else have we got going on here? Ake left, Cook right. Let's swap them two over. And other than that, it's a pretty reasonable spot. Now, for me, we've got a young goalkeeper here in Ramsdale. We probably want to go and look for something a little bit more experienced for the first team. But we'll cover all that. Career mode stuff, you know what you're doing with this. But just keep in mind that sharpness and the fitness will come into play very, very shortly. There we go. We've changed the formation. That's something that we can utilize moving forward. The instructions and everything and tactics are all done in respect to what Barcelona are doing. So that is how the boys will play. Right. So the next thing that I would suggest doing before we even move on is go back into your team sheets. And then you're going to import the team sheet. And you're going to go and find your Bournemouth side. And you're just going to make a copy of this one. And you're just going to call it reserves. Now, this will make sense very, very shortly. Reserves. Now, what we're going to do with this reserves team is bring in a whole 11 of new players. So give me a minute and I'll get this sorted out. Right, so there we go. I've replaced everyone. We've got a reserves team now. Put Solanke out on the right wing. Now, he gets a -2 because he is a striker. We will address that shortly with some of the new position player changes that we can get into. But there we go. We've got a full team of reserves, probably a little bit lacking there in the midfield. So if you're up for transfers, that's probably where you would want to strengthen first, and probably, obviously, our goalkeeping issue. Right, so now we've got our first team and our reserves. Other than that, nothing really to worry about on the squad menu. Transfer is pretty much all the same. In our global transfer network now, we will probably go to the instructions and look for a goalkeeper, definitely. Attribute-wise, probably first team, quality, and that will do that. We can back that out, and we probably need some midfielders as well. Now, this formation has centre midfielders, so we'll go central mid. Probably promising if you're looking for some youngsters to come through. That should do that, and change the age down. Set these up accordingly on the positions and the players that you're actually looking for. It will bring you back a few players every now and then that look, there's one here, a fake player. And then we've got two here in Alfie Bates and Andre Dazil. So a couple of lads already to look at. Other than that, everything is pretty standard there. Office-wise, everything pretty similar. And then we can look at the Youth Academy. Now we start with one here with Bournemouth. We've got a 4-star, 5-star, so a really good scout to start ourselves off. We can go and hire another couple. Nothing has really changed here, but let's spend some coin on some decent scouts. If you are in the championship, you probably want to start bringing some good youth talent through to help you out. And there we go. Now, we have some additions here for youth scouting. So let's go into the scouting network and have a quick look around. Now, Northern Europe, we have some new countries to have a look at. One of those is Wales. Finally, they brought that into the game, so you can go and scout Wales for the next Ramsey or Gareth Bale. We've also got Estonia to have a look at. So what we will do, though, is we will go to Wales for 3 months. We'll send Henry Bennett out to one of the other new countries. Now, if we come down here to Southern Europe, we do have Albania now as an option for you. So let's head off there. And for the final one, we will head off to... if we look at the rest of Europe, there's a lot of countries being added here in the Eastern Corridor. So we have Lithuania now, Latvia. We also have Moldova and the Ukraine available for you. So some new countries there. But for this one, we'll just head off to the Ukraine. So there we go. Standard. Scouts will come back. Hopefully we get back some decent talent. Right, other than that, nothing really to talk about here on the office menu. And then the season, well, calendar, other leagues, stats, everything's pretty standard. Now, if we come into settings, we do have this here right now, and that is the competitor mode. Now, that's going to make Legendary a little bit difficult. Enable this setting to face a more challenging opponent that simulates the playstyle of some of the world's best FIFA players. The setting can only be enabled on a Legendary or Ultimate difficulty. So if you're looking for a bit more of a challenge that isn't Ultimate, like for me, I'm not even considering Ultimate because it just kind of ruins the player progression. Everyone's just jacked up to 99. It just doesn't work for me, so I'm going to stick on Legendary, but I'm going to put this competitor mode on. Other than that, everything else is pretty standard. Simulations, cameras, visual effects, audio effects. You can add the Volta tracks and stuff now if you like, which is, you know, could be interesting, but I have the music turned off. But there we go. That's the settings. Right, so you've set everything up. It's time to look at some of the other new features. Now, down the bottom here, you can see select, back, save, email box, and tutorials. So they've added a little addition here. If we press the options button, you can get little tutorials on all of these new features or things that you maybe didn't know about. Let's have a quick look at some of these. So player transfers. You'll get these nice little screens. Use the global transfer network to find players who could strengthen your team. Give scouts time to generate full reports on the players. So it's sort of just giving you a little bit of an idea on how to play career mode if you are fresh to the game. Obviously, we've been playing for a long time and we don't really need all these things. But, you know, if it's your first time in career mode, definitely some things that might help you out. One thing we might have a look at is sharpness, fitness, and morale. Right, so this is a new system that's been implemented for FIFA 21. Sharpness. A player's sharpness will boost his performance, making him more responsive and effective during games. Make sure every player gets the training and playing time he needs to stay sharp. So you're going to have to manage your squad a little bit more microscopically and make sure that the players do keep up their match fitness, do keep up their match sharpness, or when they do get out on the pitch, they're going to feel like a bucket of shit. We move into fitness, and you've got to keep that fitness up. You will really notice the difference between someone at 100 stamina versus someone at 70. So if you start overtraining to get that match sharpness up, their fitness going into a game could be quite low, and they will not respond as quickly as you would think. And of course, the player morale has an impact on his performances in game. You've got to keep them happy because if it'll boost their self-belief when you talk about him in the press. You've got to keep all of these things up and about if you want your players and your squad to be, you know, really contributing at a maximum level. Right, the next thing we're going to talk about here is the development plans. Now, all players are set to a development plan. This is what's replaced training here on FIFA 21. The plan player focus on improving particular skills in order to help their develop overall ability. Veteran players, as get older, his skills will start to decline. We've seen that in the previous installments of FIFA. Once they get to about 30, they start dropping some stats. But if you can turn some of their development plans to concentrate on those stats that are going down, it will try and keep them up at that level for a little bit longer. And we've also got position changes. So we'll jump into all this stuff very, very soon. This is just a bit of a quick overlook. Right, so the calendar is a little bit different now with the new system that's been implemented. The calendar runs the same. The sim to the date runs the same. But you now have these scheduling rules. So you can set schedules for when you want them to recover, when you want them to rest, and when you want them to train. We'll look at that one shortly. While you're going through your career mode, you can also jump into the weekly schedule if you want to change any of these setup days. So you can view that. You can change it between rest, recovery, and training days with the day-to-day customization. So now we have training days rather than that one a week where you would pick 5 players and they would get a little bit of a boost. Now you have these training sessions, which depending on when you put them through the calendar month, you will need to look at these training sessions, and we will get into that very, very shortly. But training will improve a player's sharpness, but at a cost of their fitness. So that's what you need to take into account. If you're training that first team 11 the day before they're about to play, yes, they're going to get some sharpness, but they're going to lose a little bit of fitness and they're not going to be fully ready. So you need to really look at it and manage it well. The sharpness gains in training and playing time boosts a player's ability to perform during a game. A player lacking sharpness will not play to his full potential during matches. So your first 11, you want them up as high as possible, 90 to 100 match fitness and sharpness, and that will get that first team really, really motoring along. Then you can sort of concentrate on the reserves and the youth teams where you have the time to give them some training sessions as well, just to increase their match sharpness. The last thing you want to do is go through a season and have a full first 11 at 100%, and then all the reserves don't really have much sharpness. So when they come off the bench to make that impact, they're not going to be able to. Now, you're going to have to complete some of the playing drills. We will get into this shortly. But basically, when you simulate a training session, it will only give you the best grade that you have achieved. So if you can go through the training scenario and get yourself an A, that's it. You won't have to do that one again. You can just simulate that one each time. So you're going to have to do a couple of these training scenarios. Right, and we've also got some new options on match day. Now, of course, you can play the game as most people would. But if you are a team that, is dominating the league and there's some smaller teams that you don't really wish to play against, you can go into a sim match now where you will get a live version of the match. It'll work at about 2 times speed. You can jump in at any time to take over if you do go a goal down or you get a free kick and you want to take on it, and you can jump back out. You can jump back in, you can jump back out. You can do whatever you like from that simulation sense, so you don't actually have to play the full games. And then, of course, we have our quick sim option that we've seen time and time again, which will just go to the end of the game and give you a result. Right, so with all that out of the way, let's get in depth and have a look at some of the things. Now, the first thing I would suggest is going to your calendar. Now, you can see here we've got our pre-season matches. Now, you can see these little icons across every day of the calendar month. Now, this one here is a training session. This one is a rest session. This one is a training session. This one is a rest. This one is a recovery session. Now, if you press triangle, if you're on PlayStation, you have options here to set up what you want to do. So in my experience, you definitely want a rest day before any game, just to try and regain a little bit of that stamina and go in as fresh as possible. And afterwards, you definitely want a recovery day. Now, what recovery does is, increases the morale of the squad because they've been given a day just to, chill out and recover and, get that work in. You need to manage this very closely depending on what your squad is doing. Now, intermittent training will basically give you a training session every other day. So you can see here, there's not a lot of games. We're getting a training session every second day. If we go to intermittent rest, it'll swap that around. And then you've got only training, where a team will basically just train until they've got no stamina left, but they will be match sharp. Only rest, which means that they don't train at all, so that your team will be full of stamina, but they won't have the match sharpness. For me, at the moment, it's intermittent training on my tests, and then use the weekly schedule if you need a day off. We'll get into that one shortly. But there we go. Those 3 is how I'm going to set up, and that will keep the calendar going. You can change that at any time. Right, and down the bottom you can also see, if we press R1, we can go into a weekly calendar. So that will open up the weekly calendar, and you can see here the better stats. So a recovery day will increase 3 fitness, down 2 sharpness, and up 1 morale. A rest day is 2 morale and 1 fitness, and down on 1 sharpness. And a training day, well, that will increase their sharpness, nothing on morale, and down on fitness. So you've got options there. You can change these at any time. If you press the X button, you can change it to a rest or a training day if you feel that you need that while you're going through. Just a little bit more micromanagement if you really want to get that deep. Now, what I will let you know is that if you do go ahead and calendar sim a month, these training sessions will be completed, and they will be completed at, I believe, the highest rating that you have achieved on those training sessions that will pop up. You can go in and have a look at those but we will jump into the regular career mode and have a look at those properly. Right, so if we come back to the central screen, you can see here that on the first day of the month, we've got a training day, and the team sheet says FC Barcelona default. Now, this is where I've told you to create the reserves team. If we swap and change it to reserves and we go back, then the training session will focus more on the reserves team. Now, you may need to look at this and see what players are actually being selected by the game. A little bit more micromanagement, but for the first one, we will obviously want to train up the first team. You can see there that they've got a green, a yellow, and a yellow for Morel. So their match fitness is definitely not there. If we go in and have a look at the players, they're probably on 50 because it's the first day of the season. Now that will start decreasing if they don't train, and it will increase if they do train or play games. So let's jump into a training day and see what we have on offer. Now, you've got 3 training scenarios set up for you, and currently our best grade is NA. If you don't complete these, you will get a D on average. I'm going to leave one of them out, but we will complete one. If you go to the team sheets, you can change here if you need to. And if you press select, you've got an option to play the drill, simulate the drill, change the drill, or change the players. So for me, I would have a look through and make sure that you've got the players that you want to increase their sharpness first. And as you go through the reserves, rotations, just make sure that you're keeping everyone as fit and as sharp as possible without doing too much damage to them overall. So we will go ahead and play the first one. Right, inside the zone, dribbling. Keep possession. So you're going to have to, dribble around and get inside these circles. If we can get an A rating straight off the bat, we won't have to complete this one again for the entirety of this career mode. If you start a new career mode, you will need to complete it once again. So let's start the drill. All right, so we just need to move the player over here, quite simply, and then shoot. Come over here. Very straightforward. Some of them are quite easy, and the shooting is off. Some of them will get a player in. You may need to wheel around. There we go. There's a goal. Let's get over here. Take it on. Bang. 2 more attempts. Whoops. Well, messed that one up. But we've got an awesome rating. Oh no, we've got another chance. Oh, good save. Cleared away. So only an awesome there. That should give us a B rating. So then we can play the next drill, or we can see the results. So if we see the results, so you can see there, the sharpness has gone up 5, the fitness has gone down 10, and that means anytime that particular scenario pops up again for me, I can get a B rating every single time, or I can play the drill again and try and get that A rating. Now, if we just go ahead and simulate this one, we will get a D. You simulate the highest grade retrieved, and you're sure you want to simulate, okay. That means we just get a D. They only go up in 2 sharpness, but they still lose 10 fitness. So it's good to get a high rating on these so that, you're getting the maximum effect out of your training scenarios. That sharpness as well and happiness will help them grow a little bit quicker. Let's get the defending scenarios one done. Right, so we've got a C on that one. Once all 3 are done, we advance, of course. So that's how the training works. You're going to get one of those pretty much a lot through the first couple of months because you don't have the games to play, so every other day you're going to have a training session, but we will start off the simulation of this career mode. Now, let's have a look. Day number 3, we've got another training session. So if we go in here, you can see now, so some of the sharpness there, Smith's at a 54, Wilson's at a 53. Obviously, we need to complete all these ones again, and once you get through all of them, you're pretty much sorted, but we'll just simulate all for this, and they just go up +2. Lost -8 on those ones. Okay, so that's pretty much the training. You move along and through the season and get those trainings completed. Now, we need to do something here. Now, Solanke right now is a -2. Now, obviously, he's probably a decent striker coming through, quite young, but we want to get him some game time. And in order for him to play and be happy, we probably need to work on his development plan. So we can come into the squad hub here. We can go down to Solanke, who is currently just a striker. He's 22, and if we press here, we've got a few options. Development plan is what we're looking for. So we come into the new development plan, and it shows you, the average growth of what's happening for the player just from being on the bench and playing a few games. If his form goes up to good or excellent, he will in fact grow a bit quicker. Now, you've got options here. You can start training them in specialty areas, and you'll see that the ETA there up the top middle of the screen will change and let you know how many weeks it is until those particular development plan will be fulfilled. So currently he's just on balance, and that will mean that all of his stats will grow. He'll take 13 weeks to basically progress to a 71. If we look at changing him to a target man, though, not all of his stats will grow, but his finishing, short passing, and that kind of thing, more targeting him as a target man, it'll take 5 weeks for him to grow. If we turn him into a poacher, it's 4 weeks, mobile striker 5 weeks, and complete striker is 5 weeks. Now you can see there the weak foot can be trained with these scenarios, and unfortunately no defensive work rate on this one. Now, if we press the R2 here on the screen, we can train him into a new position. If we wanted to turn him into a right wing back, it would take 250 weeks. I don't think that's going to happen for Solanke. If we move through, we've got a few options. We could turn him into a right midfielder. It would take about a year for that to happen. Basically, what's going to happen for him to turn into a right midfielder, the stats need to change to match him as a 70 overall, but as a right midfielder, if that makes sense. So as we work our way through, we can see to turn him into a cam is 26 weeks, a centre forward would be 5 weeks, and for a right winger or a left winger, it's 26 weeks. Now, I want this young kid getting some game time behind the other two strikers that we have. We could get him coming off the bench, or we could just start training him as a right winger. That's going to take 26 weeks. We press X, and his development plan is underway. So in 26 weeks' time, it will let us know that Solanke is ready to become a right winger. Let's move on. Right, so the other one here for me is Joshua King. Now, he has a centre forward striker role. If we go into his development plan, now currently he's a centre forward. Really, we're not playing with a centre forward in this formation, and what I would strongly suggest is that you look at your players and only have them as their main position for players that are in your formation. There's no point in having a centre forward if there isn't one in your formation, because they just won't, grow or move because they're not playing the true position that they want. So for me, I'm going to try and turn him into a striker. It's probably going to take a little bit of time because a centre forward is more classed as a midfielder. It's going to take 2 weeks. So what that says is that most of the stats that he has here already, because he's a little bit older at 28, in 2 weeks he can become a striker. So let's get that happening and show you how that one works out. Now, I do need a second central defensive midfielder to go in behind Lerma. Now, Philip Billing here looks pretty decent. 24 years of age, 74 rated, centre mid CDM already. So he should have some stats that help him to be a CDM. He's 6'6", so I think that could be a handy little central defensive midfielder. So I'm going to start him on a development plan to become a little bit more defensive. So this is rather than training him on defensive stats, you could look at, looking at him as a box-to-box or a ball-winning midfielder, and you can see there his interceptions and tackles and the likes would go up. But for me, I want him to be a true CDM style player, so I'm going to put him on that development role. It'll take 2 weeks. Right, so we've got a couple of development plans underway. Let's get simulating a bit further forward, and we can show you how those development plans work. Right, so it's time for the first match. It is a pre-season tournament, but I do want to go into this because now you have to go straight into play match. And this is where you get your options between playing the match, simming the match, quick sim, team management, and customize. Now, what we're going to do in this one is we're going to do a sim match and show you how this one works. If we do a quick sim, it'll go straight to the end of the match. Actually, let's do that one quickly so we can get that one out of the way. You don't see anything, it just pops up. We've lost 3-1 to West Ham. That's unfortunate. It shows you the possession and what stats happened within the game. Now, this is obviously based on the 6-minute halves that we have in play as well. For that, you can check out player ratings. You can check out the fitness and, what's been happening. Right, so before we get into the next game, the team does get some sharpness from playing. So you can see there, Wilson at a 61. Depending on their rating, their sharpness will go up as well. And some of these lads are sitting at +1, +2 because, they've got fitness, they've got sharpness, and if that morale increases as well, they will go up again. So some of these players can work at a +3, +4, +5 rating if you really get them into form. Right, next up, we have a game against Wolfsburg, and we're going to do a sim match. So if we go to sim, it will give you the team lineups, and it will load everything behind the scenes. Now, the commentary and everything will be working within the game, and we'll get to see that very, very shortly, and the game will begin. Now, you're basically watching this with the commentary, if you like. You can see the fitness, player ratings, stats. So Wolfsburg currently have all the possession. And you can change the game plan on the fly using the D-pad. So they're playing long ball and pressing after possession loss. So we might want to go, say, a little bit more defensive. And we can change that on the fly. the team will start playing a bit more defensively. If I change it again to ultra defensive, you'll see that our possession and defensive style has changed to drop back. So you can monitor the game this way if this is the way you would like to, get through some of those quicker games. Keep an eye on the fitness. And at any time, you can jump into the team management and it will pause the game and you can do all the stuff that you normally would while you were playing. You can make substitutions and all that kind of stuff. As soon as you back out, the game will resume. Now, anytime if you want to, you can press square to jump in. And it'll drop you straight in. 3, 2, 1. And you're away. Playing FIFA. You know, if you were 1-0 down, maybe you would jump in. Try and get that goal back. And at any time you can jump in and jump out. I can just pause. And I can sim the rest of the match. Jump to the result. Or restart. So we will sim the rest of the match. And it goes straight back into simulation mode. So there you go. You got options on how you want to play if you're trying to progress through a little bit quicker. We might just go back in. Keep an eye on the stats. No one's got any shots away yet. We're playing quite defensive. So we might come in. Now we'll go ultra attacking. We'll probably concede here. And they've gone to a constant pressure formation. So if you set up all your formations and everything, this is where you would be changing them on the fly. And we'll see what happens there. Now, at any time, it'll get through to halftime. And it will also give you some options then. I don't think we've had any shots. No, we haven't. It's been a very midfield tussle game. And there is the halftime whistle. So it'll give you a chance now to resume. You can simulate another 45 minutes. Or you can just jump to the result. Or you can play the second half. We're just going to jump to the result. And unfortunately, it's a 2-0 loss. Right, so that is the gist of the gameplay. Let's get forward and check out how the player development is working. Right, once the development has been completed, it will show down here in the bottom right corner. Billings completed his move from CM to CDM, but he actually hasn't as of yet. You need to go into here and have a look at this development plan. Now, at the top of the screen, you can see a triangle and it change position. Now, what this will do, as soon as I press this button, it will change him to a central defensive midfielder as his preferred position. He's completed that transformation. We press the button, it's an instant change, and he's up to a 75 rated central defensive midfielder. He will return to a balanced growth, and in 14 weeks, he'll probably go up another rating unless we choose one of these more strategic growth rates. He is quite slow by the looks of things. So, you can see that his form is poor. So that growth is going to be a little bit slower, unfortunately. If we get him into some decent form, then that will grow a little bit quicker. We'll leave it on balance for now. Joshua King has also completed his development from centre forward to striker. So let's get that one taken care of. Now his form is okay, so we can see the yellow increases. We will change his position, and he stays at a 79. It won't jump that much when they're, 28, 29, 30 years of age, but enough there to get him moving along. Now, you could possibly get a little bit more out of Joshua King here, just by looking at some of the stats that might be a little bit lower and underdone. The finishing and the shot power could definitely utilize a little bit more of an increase. His composure and his stamina will not increase. That's why there is a straight line across there. But if we change him to a complete striker in 16 weeks, hopefully he's grown a little bit more, and looks like his weak foot will grow as well. Right, so from 3 preseason games and a little bit of training, like Wilson's at 73 sharpness and 92 fitness. So you can see there a little bit of sharpness does go a long way. +2 there for Wilson, +3 for Brooks. He's happy. The sharpness, the fitness is all there. So he's effectively going to play as an 80 rated player when he is out on the pitch. And you can see why, it is handy to have all of those stats up and about. Right, one other thing we do need to cover within the training scenarios, if we go in here and we go to change drill. Now we've got options here between light, heavy, and regular. Now what these will do will be increase and reduce the amount of stamina versus fitness. So, if you want to give them a little bit of sharpness and not lose too much of their stamina, you could go for light, and we'll do that here. We'll chuck that one in. That's fine. So the first one is a light one. And you can see there from the middle of the screen, that one is a medium, and that one is a light as well. The sharpness up 2, the fitness down 1. That is a 1 and 1, and that is a 2 and 3. So do keep that in mind as well. You know, you could get some sharpness and fitness here, which won't go down too much. It's -6 on that one with a +2. Obviously with a D rating it would be up higher. This one should give us a bit, so that's -10 on the fitness. So those are the ones where you need to work between the light and the medium. And this one should be just a low 8 on that one. So it's a little bit of, you know, trial and error. See what works for you in your training scenarios. Right, we have progressed a month in this career mode. Let's have a quick look at the Youth Academy. We have the 2 players in there. We can see that Moore's dropped to a 65 to 85. For me, that's a release. But Navarrete is held, and he has 71 to 91 potential. And he will grow in rating while he's here in the academy. He gets a little bit of training and all that kind of stuff behind the scenes. We get our monthly scouting reports back, and oh, that is a decent little goalkeeper there. 1.6 million, definitely someone you want to bring into the academy, but only 15. The rest are pretty rubbish, to be fair, so we'll move them on. Right, we've got ourselves what could be a right winger here, I think, in Galamuna from Armenia. So let's sign him up, 400 grand. And we've also got ourselves Rhys Hughes from Wales. Looks like a left midfielder, 58 to 76, 78 to 94 at 1.1 million. So, if we do take a look at the new players that we've brought into the Youth Academy, a goalkeeper you can pretty much leave on balance. Now, we've got a left midfielder here. Now, we don't have one of those in our current formation. We'd be better off having him as a left winger. So, straight off the bat here in the Academy, I'm going to go to his development plan, and I'm going to tell him to start working towards to be a left winger in the future. Very, very handy little trick to have a look at. Play to your strengths. Play to the formation that you want to play with, and get those players coming out of the academy in at those positions ready to go, so you don't have to worry about them later. If they don't turn out, it's fine. You're going to release them, but at least if you are going to promote them to the first team, they're already in a position that you will need in the future. So left wing, it's going to only take him 2 weeks. Right, something that is also new here is some different transfer options. So Porto have reached out and they're willing to offer us a player with an additional fee of £130,000 in exchange for Callum Wilson. So if we jump in here, we can see here they have offered us a swap deal. If we come across, have a look at this one. So they're offering us Otavio, the right midfielder, 25 years of age, 23 million plus 130 grand just as a kicker to take Callum Wilson off our books. We can view the exchange player if we need to see if he's worth bringing in and whether that's you know, a deal that we're looking for. Not for me, unfortunately. So we would go ahead and reject that offer. Right, so our left winger here in the academy has his change position available, so we will go ahead and do that, and he's up to a 63. And that is where we'll finish today's video. The only thing we haven't really looked at is the loan to buy offer. Sometimes you will get a loan to buy offer. You can negotiate that down just to be a loan spell if players come in, but that is pretty much the main key features. I think we've covered everything that we need today, and hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight to go out and start your career mode on FIFA 21. I've been Sparring DK. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and you have a good one.